Hi everybody. So I just wanted to share a couple of the exercises I will be filming. This is a binder, just a quick little sketchbook that I made for a workshop I was never able to hold. It was Fundamentals of Watercolor, and it was right about when Corona was happening. So the first thing and I obviously didn't finish this, this is a mixing chart. This is a super excellent exercise that is very valuable. So you can kind of see how you get all of your colors and you go down and it's the same order up top. These are like Hansa yellow and Hansa yellow. So that's where that would meet. So all of these are just our colors right from our palette. And then you mix them. So let's say green, gold, and Hansa yellow. That's what color that makes. Quin rose and Hansa yellow. That's what color that makes. This one is phthalo, blue, green shade, and quinacridone gold. So that's what color that makes. And then you can really see the ones that get muddy and the ones that remain bright and beautiful. And it's just a really excellent exercise to really get to know the colors on your palettes, which ones make the colors that you like, which ones do not. And then this is just a warm and cool. So cool always recedes, warm always advances. And the way I kind of think of it is if you look at the mountains far away are cool. So they look blue, right? But we all know that the color of trees that cover those mountains are green, and green is a warm color. So if you're planning out a painting, make sure this is a perspective exercise. Warms always advance, cools recede, and just remember the mountain analogy. Another thing that I was planning on doing, so all these exercises I'm going to be filming. I've already started on a lot of them and adding to my VIP member thing here on Patreon. So mixing interesting grays and blacks, using complementary colors. Those always make a gray or a black. So these are mixed on the tray. I thoroughly mixed these on the tray. These are all complementary colors. This is Rose of Ultramarine, Quin Gold, and Ultramarine Blue. That's mixed on the tray. This is mixed on the paper. You can see how this makes a much more interesting shadow or gray or whatever you're using it for than this does. Same on here. Ultramarine and burnt sienna. That's one of my favorite gray-black mixtures. That's also, it's just a little thicker, more pigment, less water. So it's the same ultramarine and burnt sienna mixed on the paper. Very interesting. This is a little bit dull and it was mixed on the tray, like completely mixed together and then painted. This is just mixed on the paper. Opacity. So there's opaque colors and transparent colors. It will say on the tube that you bought, any kind of paperwork that comes with it, it'll tell you if it's opaque or transparent. I lean towards transparent colors. These are tube black and grays. So straight from the tube, this is Payne's gray, ivory black, and then this is just palette mud, what I call palette mud. So palette mud is just a mix of all the colors that you're already using, and it creates kind of an interesting gray. But do you see how flat this is versus this? And how flat this looks versus it's almost vibrant. This one that's actually mixed from colors versus from the tube. I shouldn't say always. I usually always mix my grays and blacks. There are a few cases where I use a gray or a black from the tube. Here's value studies. I already filmed this one. This one I did with that same Rose of Ultramarine and ultramarine blue. So this has more blue mixed into it, than this up here. And then these are just monochromes. Like I said, it's very, very valuable to do a lot of monochromes. So an egg and an apple is just the random choices that I made. Value studies, so this is the graduated wash. So it goes from very light to very dark, a 0 value to a 10 value. This is just ultramarine blue. Here are different kinds of washes. These are just quick little studies. This is graduated. See how it goes from the light to the dark in one color, graduated. This is just a flat wash, which means the same amount of pigment and water ratio over the whole thing. And this is variegated, so it goes from yellow to blue, you know, so 2 colors that fade into the other. This is different kinds of salt. Obviously, I didn't quite finish this, but different kinds of salt gives you different effects. This is just table salt, and it really makes a very good texture for rocks and rust, things like that. This is different splatters. So this is dry on dry. This is a lot of water, so wet on dry paper. Oh, I'm kind of shaking a little bit there. Sorry about that. I'm just holding my iPad while I film this. And then this is wet on wet. So you can see the different effects that has. And then this is just a little study that I did really quickly, just to show splatter. This is just a little waterfall thing I did. There is some salt on these rocks. Just a little study practicing those. Brush control is another fun thing to kind of work with. This is the Silver Black Velvet number 6. The widest line that it'll make, the finest line it'll make, and what I can do with dry brush and the different effects. And then this is kind of an interesting thing. I'll have to demonstrate that a little bit better, but that's just like the side of the brush, tip to flat to create those leaves. This is just an example of different kinds of paper and what it does. This is hot press, and this is Yupo paper. It's kind of a plasticky paper. The gesso panels are very similar to Yupo. And I didn't have a sample of rough paper when I was doing that, but it just has a lot of what they call tooth. Excuse me. Oh my gosh. And here's negative painting. So negative painting, you paint around the object. I have demonstrated that in a couple of the videos I've made. This has splatter. This I'm charging in dark. So while it's wet, you know, it's like kind of a green flat wash. I drop some blue values in there. So that's charging in. I've got some splatter. Lost and found edges. So you can see hard edge right where I'm pointing. Here, maybe I can use this little pen. This is the hard edge right here. And then this is the soft edge. So lost edges and found edges make for a very interesting painting. And then this is just different, you know, blossoms. So here's the blossom. It's when one portion of the paper has a certain amount of water on it, and then you drop in something with a lot more water. So it's like halfway dry and you drop in super wet. That's the blossom. Scrubbing out, that's just with a brush. You can kind of see once it's dried, you get the brush wet. Not your good brushes, it will ruin your tips. And then I didn't get to the magic eraser, but magic eraser works really, really good. Here's kind of a fun thing. This is a wet flat wash, and I've put cling wrap, so like plastic wrap, saran wrap, over top of it and let it dry, and it creates a really pretty cool kind of effect. Here's a couple of ways I make clouds where you paint around the clouds, you know, and drop colors in. That's just a little practice doing trees. And I think that's as far as I got. So I started preparing this when I scheduled my workshop, and within a couple of weeks, as I was working on this and getting my itinerary together and everything, then we had to cancel it because it was in our first round of shutdowns. So I'll be working through a lot of these, like I said, in our video tutorials. I've already started a lot of them. I hope you'll do them along with me. It'll be kind of like a little workshop via Patreon. So I hope you enjoy.